Hello, social media world. This is Ryan coming at you with our quick hits today, and it's gonna be me flying solo. My dad's off working on a separate project for the holiday season, but today we're very delighted to bring in Betty Albrecht and Carol McMillin that are going to cover with us some. We are kind of going to lead upon our community causes we talked about last week with Pastor Chad at First Christian. And today's, we're going to be discovering some details about the Pettis County Community Santa project. I've gotten to know Betty and Carol through both the Sedalia Chamber and then in addition, our office watch Facebook posts. We'd been contributors through some of our closings to the Sedalia, or not Sedalia Foundation, to you guys, the Santa, but it's through our Sedalia Foundation. A portion of our closings for given months would go to you. So anyway, enough with me. I'm going to introduce Carol and Betty, and if you just give a quick second about yourself and just a tad about the history of the project you're working with.
All right. Thank you for having us on. We appreciate it. I'm Carol McMillin. I've been working with Community Santa for a very long time. It has grown over the years. It started 40 years ago with the city. It was a much different program then, but in some form or another, either the city or our private group have worked to supply toys and a little cheer to the children in our Pettis County area who are in need each year. And we're very pleased. The program has grown. We have lots and lots of volunteers by way of like yourself or organizations in the community that help us out in a myriad number of ways. Our main goal is we can't be everything to every person. And so our goal is to see to it that the children in Pettis County have an experience that is in keeping with their peers. So when they go back to school after the holiday season, we want them to feel like they are a part of that community. And yes, they did get things for Christmas. And yes, they do have some information to share and some stories to tell. And our goal is to kind of fill that need. One of the ways we do it is we ask the parents to be very specific as to the kinds of toys their children like to play with. So it's not a one pattern fits all. Every little boy doesn't get a ball. Every little girl doesn't get a doll. You get what your child is really interested in. And then the other thing we think is important, we give these gifts to the parents, not to the children. And then it's the parents' gift to give. And so if Santa gives it, or if the parents themselves give it, that's up to them. It puts the whole spirit of the event back in the parents' hands.
Perfect. And why don't you give a little thumbnail of kind of who you are, Betty, and your involvement in the organization?
Hi, I'm Betty Albrecht. I'm one of several volunteers. We are a totally volunteer group. Carol and I are just two of those. We have a great group of volunteers that do this. We're a little limited this year because of COVID. We've tried to really pair and work with a smaller group. I particularly like my title. I'm the toy buyer. So I try to see that we have toys for every child that went from what Carol said about how they give a specific list of what they like. So we see that they have those. We do shop locally as much as we possibly can. Yes, one of the things that you might not know is that, like Carol said, we give it to the parents. We put it in a black plastic trash bag so that it's secure, and then they get to give those out. part of the things that we're proud of is that not only do they get toys that they like to play with, but every child gets 2 new books. They get some kind of little lovey or stuffed animal. They
Mhm.
get a throw for the family or 2. We have board games or card games that the families can play. And if the ages are such that they're different ages within the family, we'll put 2 games in there, something that they can play with the small children and something that they can play with the older kids. We truly try to make this a family experience, and we want to encourage family activity. Our toys that we give, we feel proud of because they're very nice toys, and they're ones that encourage learning and activity and all kinds of things like that. Some kids, instead of toys, like to play with like art. So we have put together some really awesome art kits that we've made age relevant by
Mhm.
ages and things like that. So for the kids to be able to have art supplies, crafts, and things like that. Scrapbooking, we put separate kits together for that, again, by ages. And we give toys from birth through 11, and 12 to 17-year-olds in the program receive a gift card or gift certificate. So because those teenagers are a little bit tougher to buy for.
Mhm.
So we provide a gift certificate that the parents then can purchase something for that child, or they can let that child purchase their own gift.
And what what is the process? What is the qualifications for somebody to become involved with that
To,
from
to
the
apply,
yeah, yeah.
okay, just a minute.
Okay, we ask that they are they're vetted by the Division of Family Services,
Okay.
and in that their income is such that they qualify. This year, because of COVID and because of our need to stay distanced and their need to stay distanced, we have suspended some of those requirements just to make it a little more uh, a little more ease in getting the applications to us. People have been very, very good about giving us what we needed, but mostly what they have to do is this year we're working with the props or community
Mhm.
partnership, and we're also working with the food pantry downtown, and KDRO has helped us out. They can pick applications up at those 3 locations, and at the community partnership and at the food bank, the pantry, they can hand their applications back in there, then we collect it from them. So that cuts out those are places that they generally need to go anyway. And again, it limits some more exposure during this time. And so we pick them up and we sort them. If we need to make phone calls to verify something, we do that. Um, and so it's a fairly straightforward process, a little more time intensive this year in terms of getting the applications, but we feel it's safer for all of us. And so that's kind of how we've done it. People have been very gracious. They've offered to help in any way they can. So that's been good. That's extremely helpful this year.
Just did I jump in on you?
That's fine. That's fine.
Just to get a thumbnail that Betty was mentioning when we were coming on was in reading the article last week, it looked like we were looking at one deadline that it may have recently passed. Did I understand correctly? You're going to extend that deadline. Is that right?
Yeah, we found because one of the things that we didn't really foresee, the mail has been extremely slow.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has caused some consternation, people getting worried that their paperwork wasn't getting back to us in a timely fashion and all that. And then a number of our patrons don't have transportation itself. They don't have vehicles. And so we have extended the deadline for taking applications to December 1.
Okay.
And we think the easiest way is to still pick it up at one of those locations we mentioned and give it right back to them, because we get it the same day that they fill it out. And that's very helpful
Mm-hmm.
for everyone. And I think that's a major step in the right direction. We will have to call it a day on December 1. And the only exception we will make after that time, last year, for example, we had, I don't know if you remember, there were some major fires that happened
Yeah.
very end, there were like 4 families that were completely burned out. We're always going to find some way to make exception for those. But normally, or for the general population, you've got to get it done by December 1.
Okay. I think I remember visiting with y'all on the fires last year. I think y'all did amazing turnaround times on seeing to it that those families had Christmas.
Well, and our goal there, and I tell you what, Betty and I always comment, we have the greatest volunteer group imaginable. Last year was all hands on deck, because not only did those children need Christmas, they'd lost everything. So they had none of what they had always loved and always played with. So we talked with the parents. We worked as best we could to replace some of those items as well. I know we found gloves and hats and socks and blankets and some of that sort of thing as well. But hopefully we'll avoid that kind of disaster this year. I'm not sure we can handle a pandemic and a whole bunch of fires. We'll try.
Absolutely.
This is Ryan jumping in. This will be the end of part 1 of our 2-part with Betty and Carol over at the Pettis County Community Santa. We will bring back part 2 next week, in which this week's we covered more of what they do for the general public, and we're going to come back next week with ways that some of those that are more fortunate are able to help out with some of these families that you'll find out are in even more dire need with this season of and this 2020 dealing with COVID. So hope you'll jump in again next week with us. We always appreciate you tuning in. Your time is important to us. Have a great one.